Do you ever feel unsuccessful, maybe unfulfilled, maybe both at the same time? Do you ever wonder what's more important, success or fulfillment, if it's even possible to achieve both of them? Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking about success and fulfillment, what they mean, and are they attainable? This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
Yeah, so today we are talking about success and fulfillment. Have you ever felt successful or unsuccessful or fulfilled or unfulfilled?
Yes. Hard not
Good.
to answer the
I was
affirmative.
hoping I was hoping I would get a yes on that one.
Uh, uh, yeah. It's funny because I feel like it's funny because success is one of those things where I feel like my feeling of being successful comes and goes with like different achievements and goals, and but then the feeling of being like either of like unsuccessful, like that's kind of like I feel like that like also works with like imposter syndrome, and I think like that you can feel like a lot in different areas at different times depending on what you're doing. And fulfillment's interesting too because that one's like hard, like I feel like there is times when I felt fulfilled, and then there's other times where I feel like there's always, it always feels like there's something missing. And I think I always think of fulfillment as being like full, like not having like something that needs to be met, right? And I think that's a tough one too, because that covers a lot. If you think of success narrowly as just like, doing well in like career or whatever, financial or whatever, fulfillment covers a lot more ground.
Yeah. When I was thinking about it, it it appeared to me like what most people actually want is fulfillment, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
But but they think that success is what's going to get them there.
Yeah.
And they also think that fulfillment comes with success. And both of those can be traps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least
Well,
that's what I thought. I thought success would be fulfillment and doesn't happen. I thought that, yeah,
no, I think a
exactly.
lot of people think that too. How do you mean success like narrowly defined as like financial success kind of area or
Actually, I'm glad you asked because we have the definition of
oh,
success right here, and it's
nice.
quite interesting. So the the noun of success is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose, and it has specifically a person or thing that achieves desired aims or attains fame, wealth, etc. So even in
Okay.
the dictionary, it mentions fame and wealth, things that
Etc.
most people.
Yeah.
However, however, I did find it interesting. They have an archaic definition here, and this is from Oxford Languages. But the archaic definition is very interesting. It says the good or bad outcome of an undertaking.
Huh.
Success is the good or bad outcome of an undertaking. And that's really interesting because success, we always think it means good. Like
Yeah.
this has to be good. Either I'm a success or I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Success is the good, failure is the bad. But here, the old definition is both of those is a success. Really
It
just
is.
undertaking something, that's the success.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like just undertaking anything at all, trying would be the success. It doesn't matter how it turns out. It's funny
Mm-hmm.
how these things change too, because I think like you look back at like Aristotle, the ancients, the concept of eudaimonia, like that was so much different than our notion of a good life is now. It was like such a broader concept, like people think of a good life now, they think of like, success in the sense of financial gain and wealth. And then they think of usually like happiness, like perpetual happiness, which is like, I think that's what a lot of people at least have in their heads, sort of, and that old definition was way more well-rounded. It like they recognize like life's gonna have up and downs. And really being, having a good life or being successful means like weathering all that well, being centered, having balance, doing well in life. And like it's a much broader idea. So yeah, I think our focus has gotten very narrow over the years, and especially in modern times.
Yeah, because definitely when somebody says success, what I think of most times is a financial success, relationship success. I'm using the word in the definition. See, I don't even know what it means there.
Yeah.
But
No, I
but
mean,
talking, yeah,
like
mhm,
achievements, right? Like you've achieved
yeah,
something, right? That goal or whatever. Yeah, I think that's a common way to look at it. So yeah.
hmm, yeah. So that's success, and then fulfillment.
Oh,
is the achievement of something desired, promised, or predicted, the meeting of a requirement, condition, or need. Now, this
uh,
definition I found a bit lacking because
yeah,
I don't think that's what fulfillment is.
no,
Like what they're saying there is like, yes, the meeting of requirement, something, the achievement of something desired. So like, yes, you're filling this void that you had, this want that you want, you're filling it. But I think, at least in my mind, fulfillment is a bit more like value driven
is that
than
like a? Is there
just
a secondary definition though? Because that sounds like to me like you fulfilled a contract or something. Like where like you
yeah.
had you had certain parameters to meet, those were met, therefore it's fulfilled.
Maybe we'll try fulfilled. Let's search for like life fulfillment. Aha. Aha. Here we go. Satisfied or happy because of fully developing one's abilities or character. That's a
There you
better
go.
definition.
That is a better
Hmm.
definition. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I
Yeah,
mean I
so that
think
I could definitely see.
yeah, when I think of fulfillment and like life, that's what I always think of too. I think of like, like a well-rounded, right? Like you've checked the boxes, like you have, mental stability, you're balanced, you have good relationships, good whatever, you good outlook, everything like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's I like how they said character, because character is something that, often there's like virtues, there's values, takes a long time to develop and hone. It's something that you're never kind of done doing. But by developing yourself, it's something that you get to. And that's like, character is something that is vastly different from just wealth. Because, there are rich people, completely amoral rich people.
Yeah.
And there are some rich people who are the salt of the earth. But like, thinking that success is just getting rich, that's a misnomer.
Yeah, I think that's one of our biggest problems. Like the way we think of these things, we shortchange ourselves by looking at it in a really narrow way. We're going to be let down because it's not going to do all the things we want. Like just getting financial wealth is not going to solve all of your problems. It'll solve your money problems, but it's not going to solve all the other issues. It's not going to make you a better person. It's a facto. It's not going to change anything about you, right? And I think we have these narrow definitions and they kind of screw us over because we think, oh, once I get that, once I graduate or once I get that job or once I make this much money, I'll be good. I'll be happy. Things will be great. And it doesn't change anything. It's not going to change your relationships. It's not going to change how you look at the world. Nothing. So I think that's
Yeah.
like the biggest problem with it.
Yeah, so I've been like listening to some personal development stuff recently, and a lot of it is towards making more money initially, but then every single one of them always comes to, money's not going to fulfill you. It's just going, you're going to spend all this time and it'll allow you to do whatever you want, which is cool, but then you're just going to be miserable. And it all comes down to like finding out what actually makes a good life, which is why I thought doing an episode on fulfillment and how to be fulfilled is important. And one of the things that I found really interesting, and this was like a smack in the face to me, was that that TED talk that I sent you, what makes a good life, from like the 75-year Harvard study, and also a couple other things. They've done studies and shown time and time again that money has no bearing on happiness. Fame, no bearing on happiness. Material possessions, no bearing on happiness. Really, the only thing that they saw clearly defined that made you feel fulfilled was the relationships in your life. You know, relationships with family, with significant others, with friends, with, acquaintances, people that you work with. That's what matters. And that's it.
Yeah.
And I
It's
just,
funny,
I
isn't
when I heard that, I was like, man, I've 40 years I've been going in the wrong direction. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I've read studies before that have found that too. Like, it's like, that's what really matters because it's feeling like belonging, having meaning, feeling purpose. All that is tied to like other people we know, and like, you can do all kinds of stuff if you're completely by yourself. It's like nobody's noticing it. There's no one to share it with. There's no one to share like your moments with or anything like that. So I think that is a big part of it is having good relationships. It's hard. Yeah.
I saw I saw this saying the other day. I was driving around and I saw it, and it said, "Happiness is only real when it's shared." And I was like, "What a crock of shit! I've been happy on my own."
BS.
Yeah,
That's fun.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
So
hard well, I think it's hard though too, because I mean, to your point, I think like, like everything that tells us about success says you gotta be willing to like give up everything for it. You gotta be willing to put in the effort. You gotta be willing to put in the time. And like there is the truth to that, right? If you want to achieve anything, you put in enough effort. If it's really important, you can make it happen if you just put enough time in it. And there is truth to that. But that time also means losing out on time for other things. I think this is where I think, at least personally, I struggle, but I think everybody kind of struggles here, which is more in the sense of like life fulfillment in the sense of like a full life. Like not
mm,
having just one thing in your life that matters, but many things, having relationships, having successes in the sense of achievements, having like, you know, hobbies, having things to do, having like a well-developed, healthy like life, right? And I think that's the hard thing.
I mean, that's a great point because we always see the examples of the outliers. Like
Yeah.
that's all we see, and we all aspire to be a collection of outliers. We're like, I want this
Yeah.
person's body and this person's spouse and this person's amount of money and this person's car and it's like we want this whole collection of outliers to be ourselves. And it's like, hang on. Like I've been reading a whole bunch of books recently, and in relation to like some computer stuff. And pretty much all of the most successful people have some type of mental thing not working. Like they were bipolar or they're autistic or something else where they just didn't function normally anywhere else in their life. And it allowed them to become great successes in this area of computers, but everything else in their life was a mess.
Yeah. You see that a lot too, though, because I think, it's unfortunate. Like I think a lot of people that are able to give like their all in one area, a lot of times they do have struggles in other areas. And like it's just that like I think you can have a lot of personal fulfillment that way because you can do a lot, but like there's still stuff lacking. Like I think all of us have similar, probably fundamental needs, right? Or fundamental wants. And it's just difficult. I think it's also hard because I think for most of us, right? Like, money is kind of that thing is in front of our face at all times. You can't get away from it. You see like the wealthiest 0.001% all the time on social media, on TV, on all this stuff. Most of your problems, at least immediately, seem to be caused by it, right? It's like if you're hungry, if you can't pay your car payment, whatever, like, those stresses seem very immediate and easily resolvable. Oh, if I just had more money, these problems would go away. Therefore, we make the wrong conclusion that if I just had enough money, I would be happy, right? Like
Yeah.
it's this like conclusion that we jump
You
to, but
know,
I think it's hard. Yeah.
what's really interesting about what you're saying there because uh I have the same thing where I think, if I my brain likes to solve problems. And so like I think that I have it figured out, like the money conundrum. Like once I have this money, then those problems will be gone. But the hidden the hidden trick or whatever about that is that you're always going to have problems. So if you don't
Yeah.
have these problems, there's going to be other problems. And I keep tricking myself because I'm stupid enough to think that once I get rid of these problems, I won't have any more problems.
Yeah.
And I every time I'm like, oh, that didn't work. Like I get rid of
Damn
the
it.
problems and
Foil
then there's
again.
brand new ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there's always going to be problems. That's the other issue, right?
mhm.
I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, I think it's very important to have like, I think a sense of personal like achievement and successes is important. So, like having things that matter to you that you go after, like whether it's like, doing well in your career or, doing well in like whatever, like perfecting your skills in a hobby or whatever it is that like really matters to you, like having some successes in that area does feel good. But like it's all this other, it's like that's what the hard part is. It's a whole life, right? We can't just like we can focus on one thing, but we miss out on so much. And it's like I think that's also difficult because it's like every choice you make, it's like, well, what am I missing out on? If I spend more time on this and I don't, am I taking my relationships for granted? Or am I not spending enough time with this? And it's like it's so hard to figure out what the right balance is too. It really is.
Yeah.
Like
And these jerks who write the books make it seem like it's so simple. Like they
I
have it
know,
figured
I
out,
know, I
you
hate
know?
that.
Yeah. Um, But I did want to ask
Just
you.
don't give an F.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. I did want to ask you, like, do you think that going after success is more important than fulfillment, or fulfillment is more important than success? Or should you go after both of them? And then based on that, how do you do it?
Oh, that's an easy
Danny,
question.
just
Hold on,
answer
wait.
just answer
Yeah.
all life's questions for us. I mean, come on.
All right. Let's see. Hold on, let me
We
think.
got 20 minutes.
Figure it out. I I guess, I mean, I mean, not that I can answer this anyway, but I think I've been thinking about this a lot too, because I think it is a tough one. Like trying to find that balance between maybe fulfillment is better to go after, because if we go after fulfillment, I think successes will come, with that, and a feeling like, and maybe the successes will look different too. Because I think this is the trap. I think when we get caught up in what society tells us, success gets defined narrowly as financial wealth and recognition, so fame, right? Those are really the two big ones, I would argue. And when success gets defined that way, we get caught up in that. First of all, our happiness, our well-being is totally dependent on so many outside factors that we have no control over, right? I mean, like it's ridiculous. Whether people like us, whether people respond to things, whether, we get likes on Instagram or whatever, and whether, we have money or whether we get the job or whatever that is. So that's putting so much of like our happiness outside of us, out of our control. Whereas fulfillment, I think, is very much in our control. Like that stuff of like making time, not taking things for granted, being happy with what you have, develop like self-development, growth, like building your character, building your relationships, that kind of stuff. I feel like that's probably more like a fulfilled life is one that's like got a lot of things to it. So maybe that's I don't know. I don't have an answer really, but
Yeah. I've gone, my thought on this is I've spent, like I said, I've spent like 40, well, not 40 years because I don't really have too many
you were a
memories before I
baby,
was
some
like
of that.
13. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
some of that. But like probably from when I was about 13 until 40. So 27 years, I was just like gung ho down the success path. And I saw some successes. And whenever I saw success, I was always taken aback that it was not followed by fulfillment. Like almost inevitably, when I had success, there was a part inside of me that was like, I thought I was going to be fulfilled with that. What the heck happened? What's with this raw deal?
You know what though? I think it's funny though. It is a tough lesson to learn. It's a tough thing to realize. But I think that's also, I honestly think that's why you see so many people with so much money that keep doing like that keep screwing people over and keep just trying to gain more money because it's like it keeps not working. It's like, well, if I just had more, if I'm just the richest, then I'll be happy, I'll be fulfilled, right? Like it's like you have like people that have like 100 billion, like they have
If
more
I
money
have
they could ever
four
spend.
mega yachts,
Yeah, yeah, like that's just it, right? Like, and it's funny because I think we forget that like the more money you have too, the more meaningless everything becomes because like you're not working to buy anything, nothing like that. Nothing has value because it's just like you can just toss everything. And
and you
I
can't
think that
take it with
cycle.
you.
Nope,
Yeah.
no,
You
you're
can
not
you
taking all that
can
crap.
use it as much as you want, but how many meals can you eat in a day? How many
Yeah.
cars can you drive in at once? How many
Oh
years
my
do you
God.
have here on Earth? You
It
know?
cracks me up too when you see like what was it Jake Leno that has like hundreds of cars and like yeah they're neat. He has like a car museum, but it's like well, you can't drive. You
Hmm.
don't drive all of them. You hire somebody to like detail them and clean them and start them every now and then. It's like it's so funny
Hmm.
because it's like just like this it's like but you know what it's like it's like there's an emptiness that they're trying to fill with like objects and it's never going to work
Uh,
and it's like
man,
that like mentality.
I mean, I just look back on all these times when I thought that something would lead to happiness or fulfillment and it didn't. Like I used to love going to classic car shows because I drool over these old cars. And I always imagined that like one day I would have one of these cars and I would be able to take it to the shows and everyone would drool over my car. So eventually I finally got one and it was like the car of my dreams. And I got it and it did not live up to the hype. It was constantly breaking down. It like
Yeah,
one of the
because it's an
best
old
pictures I
car.
yeah, one of the best pictures I have of it is it on the side of the road because the fuel gauge stopped working and it ran out of gas. That's like and like it was more of a headache and I spent more time in the shop than actually time at car shows. And it was just like by the time I sold it, I was like, thank goodness. But it's funny because that's a lesson for this whole success versus fulfillment because success definitions, I was a success. That was my goal. I had achieved my goal. This was like the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
Fulfillment, it wasn't there
Yeah.
at all. And so,
Yeah.
at least like after, for the moment, for today, I'm going down the fulfillment path.
Good.
But yeah, but I like what you said about how it has a whole bunch of different aspects, because I kind of, you have to look at it. There's like there's physical stuff that you have to do, like working out. There's relationships, dealing with people in your life. There's some type of spiritual connection you may or may not need to have. There's intellectual stuff, so you need to learn, you need to read, all these different areas that you need to, and you're going to be working somewhere, so making sure you have a fulfilling career, different things like that. So there's so many different check boxes to tick.
Being somewhere that like makes you happy, like that you find beautiful or whatever, that gives you some fulfillment in like where you are, nature. I mean, there's also like developing many sides of yourself, many skills, maybe like doing hobbies and stuff. I mean, there's so many things. Yeah. It's funny, like I think um Karl Marx actually said that like one of the dangers of like capitalism was that like it led to like a very narrow development of the person. Like we stopped developing many sides of ourselves because we got caught up in selling our labor for money, right? And so instead of like actually making things, we're now just making parts of things or like a little piece of
Mm-hmm.
something. And we stop like kind of developing our skill set and our capabilities. And you look at a lot of philosophers, I think that's, what you see, like you look at the Stoics, like the ancients, like they thought, a good life required like not just like one virtue, right? It requires becoming like having a good character, which is like well-rounded. And I think we've lost that well-roundedness. And I think that's like the modern problem, right? A lot of us feel this emptiness. We don't feel fulfilled, but we keep trying to fill that hole with just buying more crap and more money. And those two things aren't going to do it. They're only like one small piece of the puzzle of like finding fulfillment and happiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of the trick of it, is figuring out how to, because for me, it's like figuring out how to allocate time and resources to all these different areas. And it's always like a juggling thing. And I'm trying to do the best that I can, but it's,
Well, I told you before, like, I mean, I get caught up. I think I might have mentioned this when we were talking at a different dynamic, but like, I get caught up all the time, like, and like wanting to be like really good at what I'm doing and therefore spending lots of time on it. And like, I catch myself all the time, like, it'll be like, getting on like 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I gotta stop doing this so I can like spend time with people that I live with and stuff and like not take them for granted and things. Cause like, it's easy to do that. You get caught up and you want to do better, but it's so easy to like lose yourself in it, right? And I think that's the other thing is like fulfillment means having yourself, not losing it. It's something else. So maybe that's also a way to look at it.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is a good point. So, anyways, when we were getting ready for this episode, we're like, who knows how to talk about being fulfilled in life? How about Tony Robbins? He's at least sold us the idea that he knows how.
He's
And
tried.
so, yeah. So I looked it up online. He has a list of 10 tips for how to live a fulfilled life, how to feel fulfilled. So we figured we'd go through them, kind of discuss them, and see if these are some helpful hints.
If
Number
his
one, he
ideas are
said,
worth anything.
I know, right? Or if he's another charlatan. Uh,
Snake oil
number
salesman.
number one, he says start small. And I didn't get this when I read it, but then I had to read the paragraph underneath it. So he says you're not going to go from feeling not unfulfilled to fulfilled overnight. It's just not going to happen.
That doesn't
But
work that
it's
way.
like you take one step at a time. And that leads me to the question. And this is kind of an interesting thing. Like, do you think it would be better, if you're not feeling fulfilled in your life, to first start working on the areas where you're completely not fulfilled, or to start working on the areas where maybe you're a little bit fulfilled and you could get closer to being more fulfilled in those areas?
I don't think it actually matters. I
Mm,
think just starting. Like, and I think maybe that's what the start small thing is too, is like just take small steps towards, because I think the bigger point here is like if you feel that unfulfilled, taking any positive action towards helping yourself will start that snowball effect, right? I mean, I think that is true. Like, I think if you start working on yourself, you'll start seeing some changes and that'll help you keep going in a way. So I don't know if it
mm,
matters.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. So just say, like, what could I do to make myself more fulfilled?
Yeah, we'll just start there. anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. You want to read the second one?
Sure. The second one is cultivate positive emotions. This I actually do. I think this is important. I mean, we've talked about a billion times too. Like, I think, you know, negativity just breeds negativity and anger at the world and victimization and all of that. And I think so. Positivity is, positive emotions too are necessary to start seeing the world better. We talked about small delights. I think fits with this really well. Like, starting to realize there's just a lot of beautiful things in the world, a lot of good things. And so, maybe I don't have to feel bad all the time.
It does all come down to how you look at it because there's at least two sides to every story. Like I heard when I was listening to all the success material, they were talking about these twins who were born to an alcoholic father, and after like and they got separated at birth, and then after like 30 years or something, they were both found again. One was, a multimillionaire of this whole like ideal success image that we have. The other one was an alcoholic living on the street. And they're like, what happened? How'd your life become what it was? And both of them said, with a father like mine, how could it not? It's just like totally, totally different things going on in their life, but it all comes down to their interpretation of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny though. It does. I think like how we look at things just really dictates everything, right? The meaning we find in it and everything. So yeah, positivity
Mm-hmm.
helps.
Yeah, positive thoughts. And it also starts with one positive thought. So like
Yeah.
that I find myself all the time getting in these like negative mental loops, and it just starts with getting out of it, starting at one positive thought. We'll be like, what's going well? Because it's so easy to continue down that mental loop.
Oh, it's so funny. It is. Sucks.
Yeah. So the next one is let go of the past.
Ooh.
Crucially important. Like the past defines who you are right now, but who you are right now defines the future. And letting go of the past, because so many people think that the past will define them for their whole entire life. And sure, maybe there's things you can't do, like if you have a felony or something like that, you can't get rid of it. But, or like maybe if you stuck your hand in uh, garbage disposal, you might not have a hand. But like, there's many things, there's many things that you can get over. And if you can do it really well, you can use the past to help create a better future for yourself and for others.
I think that's the crucial thing in letting go of the past too, is right being able to move on from it. Because you can't learn from the past if you're constantly living in the past. You
Mm-hmm.
never you never progress beyond it if you're constantly stuck in it. So you have to learn from it and you also have to let it go. You just have to move on.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't fix it. Like that's the thing.
No.
Like we spend our whole lives trying to fix the past and you can't fix it. The best you can hope for is to integrate it into your life. And that's it.
Yeah. Well, what's funny too is people let it dictate so much. And it's like if you just move on and do things differently, like nobody remembers that stuff. Or
Nobody else
you can
cares.
no. Yeah, they got their own past that they're stuck with.
Yeah, right?
Uh, the next one's interesting is choose your relationships carefully. I think this is actually important because I think, and I think this is hard when you're young. It's easier as you get older because you start to see things differently. I think that's just a matter of perspective. But like they do matter a ton for fulfillment. It's like you said. I mean, every study shows that, right? That the people that are really feel fulfilled and had a good life, most of them it's because of their relationships. So choosing them carefully, choosing like people that really do help you grow, that like make your life better, that add value, not take away from it. That's I think the hard thing to find, and looking for that.
Mhm. Yeah, they say birds of a feather flock together. And you're
Yes, they
most
do.
likely, yeah, you're most likely the sum total of the five people you hang out with the most. So just make sure that those people are people you want to end up like.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is stick to your values. And it says your values, not the church's values, not your parents' values, not society's values. Stick with your values. And that's a really interesting one. And I think it's very important to determine what your values are and then
Yes.
to be unflinching in sticking to them. Because like
Yeah.
I know what my values are, but sometimes when society says strongly enough that I shouldn't do that, so like here's a story. When I was young, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons, loved it. Used to like paint little miniatures, loved it. And then society said, if you want to be a guy that girls will like, you should probably lift weights and, work on cars. And so I did. And, after a number of years, I was like, this stuff is cool, but really it's not where my heart is. So I went back to the old stuff. Very, very fun.
Yeah. It's funny though, but that's the trick of your values, right? It's figuring out what your values are and then actually sticking to them, realizing that you can stick to them even when the world's doing something different or says something different. And that's the hard part. I mean, because that means it means standing on your own, right? It means being yourself and not worrying about what everybody else thinks. And that's really the difficult part of it. But yeah, I think if
Mhm.
you can do that though, you will find that's the only path to fulfillment. You have to have your own values and you have to realize them. Otherwise, you're going to feel lacking. A good
There you
one.
go.
Uh, the next one is find balance in life. This is always, I think, important and difficult, right? Like finding a way to balance all the things that make your life fulfilled, finding a way to balance out all those things that you want with what you have and like what you're going after. Time is always difficult, character, desires, all this stuff. You have to get that. I mean, Aristotle was right when he called it the golden mean, I think, because it's just finding that middle area that works. And it's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, because it's worth its weight in gold. Uh, One thing, because I struggle with this finding balance, believing that finding balance is even important, and all this stuff. But like one thing I've been doing recently is just doing 5 minutes a day and being okay with that. Because there was that study that we were talking about a while ago, how if you do something 5 minutes a day,
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
better than doing it for 3 hours once a week. And that's 180 minutes once a week. You're actually better off just doing 5 minutes a day, which is 35 minutes a week. So you can do
Yeah.
35 minutes. It's better than 180 minutes. And so ever since I read that, I've just been like, I I think I've lowered the bar for what is acceptable. I'm just like, I just need to do 5 minutes. If I do 5 minutes a day for the rest of my life, that's going to be pretty awesome because that would be like doing it 3 hours a week for the rest of my life, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way
Mhm.
to look at it. I like that too. Yeah. And it makes it easier, one, to get the things done and not be so hard on yourself and to focus and to like keep at it, I think, which is also crucial. It's a good one. I
Mhm.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Balance is tricky though. It is. Yeah. Doing
Yeah.
it right.
Yeah. The next one is a good one. Accept what you can't change.
Oh,
Here's a
yeah.
good, I mean, it's like the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the
Mhm.
things I cannot change, the
Yeah.
courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There's a lot of wisdom in that.
There is, right? It's like accepting that life is what it is, and sometimes you just have to go with it, go with the flow, and you can't change everything. There's no
You
sense
can't
getting,
change.
and there's no sense getting
Hmm.
angry at it, right? Like there's no sense getting mad at what you can't change. Just adapt.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, you can't change anything outside of yourself.
Nope.
And then who knows if you can even change stuff within yourself, right?
Don't know either.
Yeah. You can just kind of sit with it, be like, okay, this is what it is right now. Let's see what's going to happen in the future. Oh
The
my
best you
goodness.
can do.
Yeah.
My next one is me,
Oh,
right?
I was going
Yeah.
to say,
Oh, go ahead.
accepting what you can't change also helps with that fulfillment because it allows you to have that feeling of fulfillment that you want now.
That's a good point.
Instead,
Yeah.
instead of struggling to get to something other than what is, all of a sudden you're just cool with what is. And that's basically the feeling of fulfillment when you're just cool with what is.
Yeah, I mean that would be like that's like the ultimate end, right? Is if you can get to a point where you're good with what you have now, with what is right now, which means happy with yourself, happy with what you have, happy, or all of that. Yeah, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is tough. The
Mm-hmm.
next one's interesting. Is take a time out, which I kind of like this one. Like, you know, taking a time out from things just in general. I mean, I interpret this kind of broadly. I think he's talking specifically, it looks like about like work and like that drive and the drive to keep going and not losing momentum. But like, I think that is important to take a time out from that, but just like everything too, taking a time out to give yourself a chance to like reflect, to think, to like get a grip on yourself. Whenever you're feeling like out of sorts, taking a break is good.
Yeah, I had to put myself in timeout today because like a couple days a week I'm pretty busy, and I just like get in the when I'm busy, I'm just like get in the habit of being busy, and
Yeah.
it's always not always good because I've been tired. I've been like just waiting for a moment to rest. And so I had a moment to rest, but I was like, oh no, I should go for a walk. Like I should really go for a walk. The sun's just like doing this. I should definitely go for the walk. And then I was like, hang on, your time out.
Time
Go
out.
sit down.
Go get in a chair. Yeah, it's funny though, because yeah, you get really busy and get caught up in it, man. Like I realize that too. Like, I'll be working and something too, and then like you're tired, so your progress gets bad. You're not solving problems as fast. It's like just stop, because then tomorrow morning you'll solve it in 2 minutes instead of wasting an hour now being angry at yourself.
Yeah, dude,
Eh,
totally.
Go on.
Is that who is that? Oh, that one was yours.
Yeah,
The next one, number 9, be fully present. Oof,
yeah. If only,
oof.
if
I
only
can,
we could.
if I aim for 50% present and I hit that target, that's amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's a challenging one because I spend most of the present trying to be in the future or the past.
Well, you know what? I actually like. I like what he says here too, because he's like, the first line is, as you're vacationing or spending time with family, ask yourself if you're being present. This is a funny one too, because it's like we talk so much about like the flow state with work and like being in flow and being like completely engaged and present with work, but we never talk about with other stuff. Like being completely engaged, like in your relationships, talking to the person you're talking to, or like with your loved ones, or like when you're eating, or anything. Like just completely in the moment at that time, fully engaged in what you're doing. We always talk about it with work, but never anything else. And I think that is a really good one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember from the Mr. Rogers movie, he was always, I think that was where he was saying that like the person that he's with is the most important person in the world,
Yeah.
and just like
Yeah.
how can he serve them?
Well, think
Something like
about how
that.
much we rush from one thing to the next. And when we're rushing, all those things in between, we're just like not even there. Shoving food in your mouth, or like, doing all these things rather than actually being engaged in what's going on. Or like talking to somebody, but you're busy, so you're worried about the next thing. And you're like not even hearing them, right? You're not even really giving them time. So it's like, yeah, that is a
Hmm.
good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
The last one, and this is an important one too, is give back. And they always say this, that like the people that I studies have found that people that are fulfilled, it's like having those relationships because it also enables them or empowers them to give back to others, right? Especially ones that they care about a lot. They could be giving back to your community. Just if you have more, giving some of that to others feels amazing. And it also makes you feel a part of a broader like human experience, right? Like you're helping other people in need, you're helping others with your time, whatever. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I think it was the Dalai Lama who said that generosity is the most selfish thing you can do.
Yeah, yeah,
But he's got a point because it feels good.
it
It's
does.
like one of those ways that you can, and plus it gets you out of your own mind. Like if you're stuck in your own mind, I'm a default ruminator. Like I will just sit on the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah,
And if you want to get out of your own mind, go help someone else. Like
yeah.
simple, done. Yeah, it's a
It
great way to
feels
do it.
great too. It does.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. So that's how to feel fulfilled, how to nail fulfillment.
Boom.
But yeah,
Easy.
my new thing in life, I just like ever since I heard about that relationship thing, I've just been reading a whole bunch of books on relationships, trying to figure this whole thing out because it's something I've put zero effort into for my whole entire life. And I just figured I don't like people. I don't want to do it.
Nah.
I don't want to do it. But yeah, it makes sense. Like if that's the determining factor for being fulfilled in life, then why would I not?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think the trick is too is finding the right people too. That's the other hard part. It's
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes you get lucky, sometimes it's like, it's just
Mm-hmm.
tough. But if you find the right people, I think it can. I don't think it has to be hard. I think it's just finding the right people and then being cognizant enough to like remember and like not take it for granted.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. So anything else you'd like to say about success and fulfillment?
Nah, I think that I don't know. It's probably good.
Yeah, I would just say, like don't give up if you're not feeling successful and not feeling fulfilled right now. It's okay. Doesn't matter where you are right now or where we were. All that matters is where you're going to get. And
Yeah.
you can change that. Maybe. We'll
Yeah.
see. But don't try and figure it out because who knows. So, anyways, this is the Existential Stoic podcast. You can check us out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.